All right, looks like we are live. And it's working. Okay, welcome to Fireside Chat number 187. So, number one, Warrior of the Month, new Warrior of the Month. Congratulations to Sieghart Latling. Did a stellar job winning the recruitment contest, which I think I talked about last week, but if not, yeah, I must have. But congrats to Sieghart on winning both of those. And he is our Warrior of the Month for this month. And furthermore, if I didn't say so last month, or last week rather, new roll call is out. February roll call is out. We had our officer meeting. Unfortunately, I was traveling, so I had to move it to Sunday, and a lot of people could not make it. So that was a bit of a bummer, but we did have a pretty productive one with just myself, Athfaller, Ofold, and Siaskioter. So that was pretty cool. We talked about a lot of the upcoming stuff, ideas, one of which is tournaments. We talked about hosting League of Legends tournaments, but potentially tournaments for anything, with the idea being these would be open to the public as well. If you would like to help with any of those, do let me know, and I will probably direct you to Athfaller, but that will... yeah, that'd be great if anybody would like to help out. And further than that, I think the last big thing is upcoming changes in WA. So the big thing is going to be platoons. And I've been using this word platoon. Nobody's suggested to me a better one, so we might just roll with it again at risk of being a little bit confusing with the way platoons worked in the past. So, if you haven't heard yet, the idea is that these platoons would not have a set roster of members. They would probably have a set command staff. So, they would have an officer staff who are assigned to them, but you could be part of the officer staff in multiple platoons if, as long as you're getting the job done and doing well, you could certainly do that. And each platoon would be a certain game of WA. It's possible we would reach the point where we have multiple platoons on one game, but at this point, I don't think that's a problem we need to worry about. Not entirely sure how that would work, regardless, but yeah. Anyway, my plan is also to have what they call, or what we called, platoons and rough platoons. So to make a rough platoon, you don't need anything. You just need to apply by talking to me, and I'll lay out a application or for it, or just what you need to tell me, information you need. And basically, you just have to pick a game that you want to try to establish a WA presence on, and then you get the game channel if it's not there already, and you get to work. And then in that process, you try to make full platoon status. So, as the leader of a rough platoon, you have the normal rank for a leader of a rough platoon. Well, again, this stuff is up in the air right now. We're still figuring out, so it's not necessarily set in stone. But it's my working model. I'm not sure what the default rank of the leader of a rough platoon would be. It used to be Master Chief Petty Officer. But we might just keep it where the leader of a rough platoon doesn't hold a specific rank, but their job is just to lead it, and they have to post situation reports every month. And so by the first of the month. And yeah, those contain information on their goals, what they've been doing, any new recruits, anybody who's been playing the game, who's been active in the game, etc. Which is all go on a slight tangent here, relevant one, which is that rather than having the set rosters, as I said before, the purpose of these platoons would be to maintain a list of who is active on a certain game. So we wouldn't have a set roster of people who are in the League of Legends platoon, but rather whoever is in charge of League of Legends for WA would be keeping tabs on who all is playing with WA members on League that month, and they put that in their report at the end of the month. It lets us keep track of who is playing what for promotion purposes, promotions, demotions, keeping track of events, just knowing, which games are more popular. etc. And yeah, and then the default rank for the leader of a platoon is a lieutenant. And in order to make a platoon, whether you have a rough platoon or you're starting from scratch, the rough plan is that you would need to be hosting an event for the game that that platoon is on, and that you need attendance of 4 people plus yourself. At I made note of this here. Let me open that up. What did we say? Oh yeah, the 4-4 rule. So you have to have 4 people attend your event 4 times. In a row probably, or within a month or within 2 months. Something like that. We'll have it squared away for sure, but that's the basic idea. So you show that you've got your event established on the game, which showcases that you have people playing the game, which we thought would be a better metric than just messages sent in the game channel or something like that. So that's the rough idea. And then, yeah, you don't have to be a lieutenant to run a platoon, but that's the normal rank of somebody running a platoon. If you aren't a lieutenant running a platoon, you can still apply for one and run one. You'd apply the same way you would with a rough platoon by talking to me. And you would have those responsibilities of a lieutenant if you were running a platoon, which would be, again, just the report, everything I said about the situation report you have to post each month, but also maintaining the success of your platoon. So ideally, you'd be making sure events are being run, that people are playing it, maybe even establishing, people talked about having like a leaderboard in certain games or even individual awards within a platoon. All that kind of stuff you can do if you want, but the number one thing is you are in charge of WA's efforts on that game. So if there's in-game stuff that needs to get done, maybe you're maintaining a guild hall or some other structure, or there's in-game, events or activities that WA can do as a clan or a guild or whatever. That's your call, and then you can delegate that stuff to your other officers. So by default, or not by default, but you might have a lieutenant running a platoon, and then they would have maybe an ensign and a warrant officer below them that they could delegate duties to. And another thing worth figuring out as well that we were talking about is, I just closed my document for some reason. Let me open that up again. So another thing that we were talking about was who would do the review duty for the platoon. My thinking is that would still be a separate thing. But that every officer now is going to have to be involved in a platoon in some way. Now, what we'll do probably is put slot platoons into divisions, and captains and commanders will be in charge of those divisions and organizing those. Now, that isn't to say that they won't be running platoons as well. With the staff that we have right now, we may have some captains who are also running platoons. In that case, they will just have both duties. So they will have to do the platoon stuff, and they will also be in charge as a captain of multiple platoons, and with their job being basically just to keep tabs on those platoons. And we might have some kind of report that captains have to fill out that is separate. So rather than having them copy-paste stuff from the platoons, maybe just talking about... maybe just they make some kind of statement of their evaluations of the status of the platoons and what they're looking for in the future. Something along those lines. So we'll see on that, but that would be the rough idea, is that you've got Fleet Admiral and Admiral overlooking everything. You've got Captain and Commanders overlooking multiple platoons within a division, and then you have lieutenants running those individual platoons. And that really aligns our current ranks to the purpose of running these platoons. Because the platoons don't have set rosters, it doesn't confine people to a certain game, but it does give us a way to coordinate ourselves on games and track who is playing what and track activity in general in the clan. So hopefully that gives a decent overview of all that stuff. That's about all I had, so I'm going to call it here, and I'll be hanging out in office hours if anybody would like to stop by.